Tumblr. Art, fandom, chaos. The origin place of small beans, cinnamon rolls, and hipster Disney princesses. Hey guys, it's Dakota Sage, welcome to my channel, and boy do I have a video topic for you guys today. Today I'm going to be talking about 2010's Fandom Tumblr. Get ready. For starters, I'm not a Tumblr veteran, I am not an original user. I joined Tumblr too young, as many others did.
I'm 8.5 inches. Damn, dude, this guy's tiny. He must be a dwarf. Sorry, I'm not interested in being friends with midgets. Midgets piss me off. Frowny face.
But it was at this time that Tumblr began to be called dead. Pretty much all of mainstream Tumblr and a lot of fandom Tumblr had moved to Twitter at this point, so everything on the site was a lot more low-key. But like remnants of an ancient city, bits of what once was still lingered on blogs and in text posts. I was big into Harry Potter at the time, and the Harry Potter fandom was always fighting about something stupid, especially the Marauders fandom. If you don't know who the Marauders are, it's basically Harry Potter's parents and their friends, and then a bunch of other characters that were mentioned like twice throughout the entire series. So these people would fight over characters that pretty much weren't even characters, they were literally just names in the book. They would make stuff up and then get mad at other people for not agreeing with the stuff that they made up. If that doesn't explain the internet, I don't know what does. And sometimes these fights and disagreements would turn into fandom wars. Fandom wars were kind of brutal. I remember the whole Rey and Kylo Ren shippers versus aunties, and it really seemed like people dedicated their whole heart and soul to their side.
It's not that serious, trust me, I know that.
I think that was the only real fandom war I ever experienced, but they definitely were plentiful, especially in the bigger fandoms. And what would a video about 2010's Fandom Tumblr be without mentioning Super Hulock? Super Hulock was a fandom comprised of a lot of people with too much time on their hands. Super Hulock became a thing when fans of Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock decided to combine forces to make the most chronically online and mental health crisis-inducing space on the internet. No hate to anyone who was involved, but you know it's true. One of the biggest things I remember about the Supernatural fandom is that they had a GIF for everything, and that was a big deal. Like I said, I joined Tumblr a little after Super Hulock, but I was on the site when Destiel became canon. If you were ever on Tumblr, you pretty much know what Destiel is. The fandom was obsessed with shipping Dean and Castiel for 15 years. Then at the very end of the series, they got one sentence that confirmed it. And the now older and more mature members of the fandom were making memes left and right. Super Hulock was also kind of the origin place of obsessing over random white guys. Misha Collins, Benedict Cumberbatch, Matt Smith, and Dave Tennant all acted in these shows, and people fell in love with them. There was also a huge meme about people never spelling Benedict Cumberbatch's name right, but fans would post a picture like this and be like, that is the most attractive man I've ever seen in my life, and mean it. And to each their own. I don't think that any of these guys are ugly, but also really? The most attractive guy you've ever seen? And it's gonna get worse. But first, we have to talk about another iconic fandom, the Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons. Rise of the Brave Tangled Guardians was a combination of the movies Rise of the Guardians, Brave, Tangled, and How to Train Your Dragon. People basically edited the characters together and wrote fan fiction, and like the Marauders fandom, got really angry when people didn't agree with the stuff that they made up. Usually in the stories, Jack was the leader, Merida was the spirited fighter, Rapunzel was the healer, and Hiccup was the voice of reason. And all the characters were shipped together at some point, even Merida and Hiccup. Which is weird because part of Merida's story is about how she doesn't need a husband, Hiccup has Astrid, and the history of Vikings in Scotland is not a very positive one. I don't know how to convey how obsessed with this fandom people were. I don't know if it was the fact that most of the lore and content had to be made by the fans, but people dedicated hours and hours to it. And honestly, if I was a little older and on Tumblr a little earlier, this seems like something I would really like. Then there was Frozen. I think Frozen kind of got added to the mix because Jack had ice powers, Elsa had ice powers, so they should be together, I guess. This had a lot of weight on Tumblr. It was very popular. Edits and fan arts were all over the place, and when I first heard about this ship, I hated it. I hated it because like many others, I had a crush on Jack Frost. Like many others, I thought that Jack Frost was cute. I thought he was sexy. I thought he was a sexy man.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
Now this is a rabbit hole that I cannot allow myself to fall down into. I would love to give you a true, fully in-depth explanation of what a Tumblr sexy man is, but I don't really know. From what I've gathered, a Tumblr sexy man is a character that basically garners their own fandom because of their attractiveness. But I don't know if it's satire or not. It might be to some people and not to others. I'm kind of confused about the whole thing, I gotta be honest. Some of them I think are jokes, and then people are like legit thirsting over them, like King Dice or the guy from Animal Crossing. But the original Tumblr sexy man was, of course, the Onceler, because the skinny white boy effect applies to cartoons as well. I think they shipped the beginning version of himself with the greedy, corrupt version of himself. How mentally ill do you have to be to think this up?
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Then we have the first sexy man that I ever came in contact with, Bill Cipher. Not regular Bill Cipher, no, because that would be crazy. Human Bill Cipher. And I hate that I get it. I actually came across Human Bill Cipher before I was on Tumblr because I think I was looking up Gravity Falls fan art when I was like 10. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time. I was just like, okay, that's neat. But apparently people on Tumblr were going like ape shit over this guy. Then there was Reverse Falls, a fandom-made alternate universe where Dipper, Mabel, and Stan were Gleefuls and Gideon was a Pines. This seems pretty interesting in itself, but it also introduced a new character, Will Cipher. He naturally became a sexy man too. Kind of funny and concerning at the same time. Then there was the one voted the best Tumblr sexy man. This guy's name is Sans and he's from Undertale. Why he is considered sexy is lost on me. Maybe you gotta play the game to get it, I don't know, and I don't really want to find out. And I am literally just skimming the top of Tumblr sexy men. There are so many more. But I have to end it here. I have to end it here for my own sake. When I tell you that everything in this video is just the tip of the iceberg, I mean it. Not even the tip of the iceberg, this is like the speck from Horton Hears a Who. And there's probably a sexy man from that movie as well. Fandom Tumblr is still active and around, but it's much more calm now because of the aging user base and the fact that most of the crazy people went to Twitter. Sometimes I wish that I experienced peak Fandom Tumblr, but the better part of me is grateful that I did not. If you were involved in 2010's Fandom Tumblr or you just have something to add, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, have a great rest of your day.